Let's take some questions now to the President's National Security Advisor, Jake Sullivan. Jake, thanks for joining us this morning. Just a month ago, the President said a Taliban takeover of Afghanistan was highly unlikely. Was the intelligence wrong, or did he dismiss it?
Well, the President did not think it was inevitable that the Taliban were going to take control of Afghanistan. He thought the Afghan National Security Forces could step up and fight because we spent 20 years, tens of billions of dollars training them, giving them the best equipment, giving them support of U.S. forces for 20 years. And when push came to shove, they decided not to step up and fight for their country. And so the question facing the President back in April, and again as we've gone forward, is should U.S. men and women be put into the middle of another country's civil war when their own army won't fight to defend them? And his answer to that question was no. And that is why he stands by this decision.
But then if he knew then that the Army wasn't going to stand and fight, or why didn't he know that the Army was going to stand and fight, and why wasn't more planning in place so that we could get out our allies and American personnel in a more deliberate manner?
Well, with respect to the planning, we planned for a wide range of contingencies. One of those was the need to flow in a substantial number of forces to secure the airport and be able to facilitate that evacuation. We have now successfully drawn down the U.S. Embassy in Kabul. We have moved all of those personnel either to the airport or out of the country. And we flowed in several thousand troops who had been pre-positioned in theater for precisely this purpose. He activated that deployment well before the fall of Kabul because as we watched the situation unfold, and it certainly unfolded at unexpected speed, we put that contingency plan in place.
But we're still We're still seeing thousands of our allies, interpreters, translators, other aides to the U.S. effort there in Afghanistan who are stranded. Can they be saved?
We believe that we can effectuate an ongoing evacuation of American citizens, of Afghans who worked for us, including interpreters and translators, and other vulnerable Afghans at risk. We are working to do that, first by securing the airport today, and then in the days ahead by taking people out one flight at a time, flight after flight. We fully intend to continue an evacuation process to bring out people who worked alongside of us in Afghanistan.
We're getting reports that the Taliban are releasing hundreds of prisoners from the Bagram prison there who are al-Qaeda sympathizers. Are we going to be able to engage with the Taliban? How are we going to prevent those terrorists from targeting America again?
Well, first, I would say that we have to look at the terrorism threat in a broad context, which is that we are facing terrorist threats in countries around the world, including Syria and Libya and Yemen. And one thing we have proven in those countries, in Somalia, in other parts of the world, is that we can fight terrorism effectively without having a large military footprint on the ground. We are going to prove that as well in Afghanistan. And yes, we are going to hold the Taliban accountable to not allowing al-Qaeda to have a safe haven there. And if they do, there will be costs and consequences for the Taliban in addition to the direct suppression of al-Qaeda that we will have the capability to pursue in the period ahead.
What do you say to Americans who are wondering what was achieved by 2 decades of war, thousands of casualties, billions of dollars in investment?
I would say that we went to Afghanistan for one reason, which is to get the people who attacked us on 9/11. A decade ago, we got Osama bin Laden. We degraded al-Qaeda. We stopped terrorist attacks against the United States from Afghanistan for 20 years. But what the President was not prepared to do was enter a third decade of conflict, flowing in thousands more troops, which was his only other choice, to fight in the middle of a civil war that the Afghan army wouldn't fight for itself. He would not do that to America's men and women or their families, and that is why he made the decision to withdraw U.S. forces from Afghanistan this year.
Should the American people expect to hear from the President today?
I think they can expect to hear from the President soon. He is right now actively engaged with his national security team. He is working the situation hard. He is focused on ensuring that the mission, which is to secure that airport and to continue these evacuations, that mission continues and is brought to a positive conclusion. That is his overriding focus right now. He's deeply engaged on it. And yes, at the right point, he will absolutely address the American people.
Jake Sullivan, thanks for your time this morning. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.